at the Stanze del Vetro, Giorgio in Venice, we have the curator of this great exhibition dedicated to the Finnish glass. And I would like to know which is the characteristic of this, because of artists, architects, designers, Finnish, they had beautiful pieces of glass designed. So, which is the characteristic of this glass?
Compared to Venetian glass,
compared to Venetian glass,
glass has much less color. Most of the classical pieces of the 1950s are clear glass. They are very thick glass that considers very carefully the optic relationship with the glass and surroundings. And also all the Finnish glass pieces mostly are made in factory environment.
So no blowing less? Less?
They less complicated blowing. Most of the pieces here are blown glass, but not as complicated techniques as are used in Venetian glass.
So one of the things that really interests people in looking at these pieces, at these bases, glass, is the simplicity. That is not only simple, but very pure lines used by these designers.
And part of that is sort of traditional Finnish simplicity. Finland used to be a very poor country. So simple household articles are our tradition, if you want to say so. But on the other hand, since our tradition in glass is very thin, we don't have a long tradition to build on. It was kind of maybe easier for Sarpaneva and Virkkala go for abstract forms and sort of reinterpret nature forms into abstract forms of sculpture.
So transparency, massive forms, not very thin, and then color. When did this color happen to be used?
The color happened in two ways. Nuutervi glassworks always had color, probably with some Venetian background. And
so there are some relationships.
There are some relationships. Guy Frank visited Italy both 1949 and 1951, and he was amazed with colorful glass of Venini, also household glass with every glass being different color. And he didn't like the bright colors. He wanted Finland to have sort of a more forest-like subdued colors. But he took this idea of having glasses in different kind of colors from Italy to Finland, and that was a commercial success.
And he started to work with Venini.
It was Virkkala who worked with
Virkkala worked with Venini, yes.
Yeah, Virkkala started to work with Venini in mid-60s and was actually very successful also as Venini artist. Virkkala has a very good ability of adapting the sort of company or factory look, and his Venini glass, you can recognize that it's Virkkala glass, but you can also recognize that it's Venini glass.
Because this was the tradition here in Venice. And how did it happen to meet these two different traditions? Because glass is something universal, but there are some places, some countries that developed this love for glass and for making glass. That is what you in Finland did, because of these works of art deals with this love for glass.
Yeah, it's this is a difficult question. I think everybody who works with glass, even as a curator, can't help but fall in love with glass. It's such a versatile and very special medium. And for instance, just transparency doesn't really exist in other materials. And the possibilities that glass allows are so versatile that if it's possible to develop your glass designs, it's you have endless possibilities. But unfortunately, nowadays glass is getting so expensive that the designers don't have the same opportunities as they had before. And this is a problem not only in Finland but also here in Venice.
Of course, but is it because the material glass doesn't cost so much? It's the way of making it.
It's the way of making, and it's also the energy.
And the energy, of course, the energy.
So it's Venetian glass has a tradition of being luxury glass, and maybe that is what will support Venetian glass also for the future. Where Scandinavian glass has a tradition of being household glass, not only art glass, and it's much more difficult to develop only luxury pieces.
Are there any young artists nowadays that are devoted to this art?
Oh yes. In Finland we have, it sounds funny, but we have more glass artists than ever before. They are self-employed, almost all of them. Iittala is the only factory still, big factory still working. And so these self-employed people have to depend on their own, maybe serial production, but more particularly on their art.
So it's an art that continues.
Yeah. It's just this spring in the Finnish Glass Museum we had sort of a documentary exhibition about past 5 years in Finnish glass, and I would say that it looked very promising, and we can only hope that it continues that way.
Thank you.